Hello everyone, my name is Nishtala. I work in Cisco UCS group. To start with, Cisco has actually partnered with Red Hat and as well as an Intel to understand what are the real critical issues that the customers are facing in OpenStack. So this was a joint engineering effort that we have done, and we came up with a validated design. Validated design doesn't mean it's just a reference white paper. It actually means you're giving a set of instructions, you are understanding what are the operational issues apart from the install. So I'm going through some of the best practices, but before I jump into the best practices, we have analyzed that there are three categories of customers. So one is the high-end ones, which as we have seen on the keynotes, they have all the resources to do, they have the skilled manpower to do, so they can install it on any hardware or any distribution. But there are two other categories who are like, who have just started on the installs, but they are really concerned about, they could be having install issues. And there are also another categories of customers who want to catch the train that they have missed it, but they are skeptical because of the issues that they can face, right? So my presentation was actually, and our whole effort was based for these two categories of customers, not the other ones, the first ones who have all the skill set. So we collected some of the main requirements in the interest of the time, because it's within 10 minutes I need to do all this. I'll quickly go some of them. The key areas are about how to get a consistent and repeatedly you get the same type of installs. You may follow some workarounds, some bugs are always there in OpenStack, but there should be a consistently you should get the same set of results, right? That's what the customers were looking, and of course they were always looking for scalability and flexibility, also how they can increase their storage and the computing infrastructure. So these are the OpenStack challenges at a very high end. In the center, I am actually focusing on that OpenStack actually gives you a lot of flexibility, and that's the reason why it is actually complex. When you say flexibility, this is one of the, OpenStack is the one with which you can go with a QEMU KVM, you can go with Hyper-V, you can go with ESX, so this type of flexibility you have. Same way you can go with a Ceph or any other SDS storage, or you can go even with your classic storage applications, provided you have a Cinder plugins. So that is the flexibility actually OpenStack brings you up. Now because of this you have all the complexity issues here. So some of them are yes, there is definitely a lot of learning curve on OpenStack, because it is not just like a decade or 15 years back we were all in the same boat for Linux was getting adopted. But it was just an operating system at that point of time. Now here you have a storage, you have OS, you have a network, you have so many other things too, right? And we all meet every 6 months, because there is a new one coming up, and whenever a new release comes up, yes, you will have good amount of features, but also this brings you some regressions and bugs. So this is one of the other areas that OpenStack also has, right? And troubleshooting and maturity, I need not tell you. When a person, when trying to do a troubleshooting of an OpenStack, he or she has to have a knowledge in almost all these areas in order to really pinpoint and focus, locating the problem. Once you locate the problem, I think you should be able to fix it. But so that's the one. And a couple of slides from our side, why Cisco and Red Hat in this joint effort. Cisco, as you all know, has been a networking giant for some time now, but we also have started around 8 years back, in the compute field. We have, good amount of blade and rack servers for storage. And Red Hat has been in open source community for so long, and they do a lot of contributions to OpenStack. So that's why we work with Red Hat, and also of course Intel does a lot of contribution to the OpenStack community. So we started in also taking inputs from them and started working with them. With that said, we have released two designs so far. So the one what you see on the right side is with the FlexPod. When we say FlexPod, the storage is actually from NetApps. They had a Cinder plugin, whereas the remaining things are same between both the left and the right. So the left one is the latest one, which is on the kilo-based one that we released like 2 to 3 months back. I'll go with some of the details a bit later. However, the idea being that we also package some of the Cisco plugins there. When I say Cisco plugins, these plugins are transparent when you actually install something. So when OpenStack actually creates a VMs for you, there is a need for you to make some trunking of the ports on the upstream switches or within the fabrics, and that's what these ML2 plugins, jump in at the. They take the call from the neutron and they make these changes. Yeah. Okay, so what is the Kilo one? The release that we have done it you can, I mean, the diagram I'm showing a pair of Nexus switches, which are your top racks, to which you can connect to your top rack, and then you have all the remaining storage and blades connected to a pair of fabrics. You can actually increase them. I mean, you can add more chassis, or you can add more number of compute or storage infra to the to these fabrics as well. Yeah. And as I mentioned earlier, we have 3 types of plugins that are integrated in it. The Cisco UCS Manager plugin, which it is responsible for creating the VLANs on every hypervisor that a VM has been provisioned, so that it is transparent to you guys. Same way about the Cisco Nexus plugin, which takes care on the upstream switches, and then we have N1KV. The N1KV or N1000V is a virtual switch that is there outside of OpenStack also for some time now. So we worked on it, and so that it is also integrated with OpenStack as an ML2, and it provides you, it has a lot of security, ACLs in it, and it has other modules to do troubleshooting better on a virtual networks. So I'm quickly jumping into the deployment best practices. The first one is about the implementation planning, and the recommendation is always, you actually plan big, but you start small, not just try to gulp all the features at the same time, and that's where people are failing here. Capacity planning, yes, and compute and storage. Understand what's your compute and storage requirements, and at the same time, leave some room for organic growth. What I mean by organic growth is your tenants, they will never tell you whether when they are doing some upgrades. So just always leave some room there. And installation, yes, I have done at least not less than 150 to 200 times to make sure that we did face a lot of challenges. We did have a lot of bugs, but we have documented, okay, what are all the workarounds for these issues today. But what we wanted to target is, okay, at the end of the day, even when of our customers also installs and they follow these workarounds for the limitations we have documented, they land up at the same point what we are. And that's the consistency is the most important thing that we documented. And I need not tell you about the monitoring and troubleshooting. These are the Cisco as a UCS hardware. Yes, it comes with UCS Manager, which has its own monitoring aspects. And from the OpenStack perspective, yes, whatever OpenStack offers today, you have that, and you are always free to choose any other third-party, monitoring things if there are some gaps in OpenStack for you guys, right? Okay, so what are the UCS best practices? It's not possible for me to list all of them, but I just listed a few of the major ones here. I mean, we always recommend that you distribute your computes across both the chassis, so that, I mean, UCS doesn't stop you. Even if you have 10 VMs on the left and 90 VMs, it will still work for you. But from a failover perspective, that whenever, say, one of the fabrics suddenly fails, you want to make sure that it will take some time for all the connectivities, connections to fail over to the surviving fabric. So to get any, if you are getting, say, once a fabric fails, it takes, say, 2 seconds or 3 seconds of your VM is getting installed. It is better to, equally distribute instead of, otherwise it could so happen that if you have more VMs attached to one fabric, it will take a longer time for you to fail over. Yeah. And we did, the second one is about, specifying the PCI order. This was definitely needed when we were installing the director through OSP director and getting the workload images deployed. UCS has a feature by which you can always specify a way by which you can enumerate. So what I mean is, if you want to carve out, say, ETH0 just for your PXE, let it be ETH0 PXE across all your nodes, right? Same way, the second one, if you want to say you are configuring for your management or internal API, whatever it is, you get that type of consistency. Yeah. And of course, the storage is another one. Cisco has different models for the storage, but understand what exactly is capacity or performance is what you are looking for. If you are looking for, a good amount of IOPS for your block storage, make sure that you have that type of storage attached instead of, having a 7200 RPM disk, which are good for storage or capacity, but may not be that good for IOPS. So understand what's your client's requirement and accordingly choose your storage. Yeah. Okay, and this is something I felt like I wanted to share. It is like building a castle from your Legos, right? You don't want to just, go into building a castle at the same time. So go in smaller blocks, understand what are the pitfalls in it, digest it, take the feedback from your clients or your customers, and then expand it, right? From an OpenStack perspective, I gave few of them, but I'll just very quickly go over some of them here, because the layout is distribution is something how you want to distribute. Don't make the distribution in a way that it is highly flexible, because it's not just the installation part, you have to also maintain the whole thing. And you can actually distribute your hardware in like a half a dozen racks. Yes, you can, but operationally how difficult it is for you to actually maintain it, right? The same way it happens on the controller and the computes too. Then I will go on the Ceph storage also. There was a need for us, if you are using a Ceph for a longer time, yes, you may have to balance. And there are some, as you all know, that if one of your nodes crashes, then Ceph will do a backfill and recovery operations, which could become a performance also issues too. Then these are the lessons learned. To quickly go over, yes, plan big, but start small. Have the HAs built into it, but do not look for all the features of high availability, but just start with small and then keep on adding the features as you need. And one of the important feedback that I wanted to give was also differentiate between your business and technical requirements and legacy processes you have. If you're trying to migrate an application to cloud, I mean, always the users, your internal clients could say, yes, we have been running for 10 years like this, and we want the same in the OpenStack. So understand whether it is a business and technical requirement, or is it just because we have a process running, we want to do that, and whether you can probe it, you can change it. This is a change that you may have to do. And avoiding shortcuts, I myself has done it many times. I have went and updated something in the MySQL. So better know what you are doing before you really attempt it. Understand the implications of going for these shortcuts. So with that said, I would say that some of the links that I have given here, if you go to Google and search for Cisco UCS and OpenStack, you will get our documents. There is also a YouTube presentation that is here, and how to install from end to end that I have given there. And thanks for giving me this opportunity for sharing. And if you have any questions, offline we can discuss. And hope you will enjoy the remaining stay at Summit. Thank you so much.